Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today I have Ian Shimizu. He's starting an
Right.
app to
Yes.
give more transparency for forestry campaigns. I'll let you explain it all. But before we dive right into your big weMORI campaign, which is really
hmm
exciting,
hmm
could you just briefly introduce yourself? Would you mind?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Ian Shimizu. I am joining today from my house in Tokyo, not far from Meiji Shrine and Yoyogi Park, for those of you who know where that is. Pretty close to Shinjuku Station. I've been working in the field of environment since I was in university. One of the first things I did was start the Japan branch of an international environmental nonprofit called 350.org. Maybe some of you who are in the sustainability space know of them. I did that for about 3 years, and then I decided to completely pivot towards education and awareness raising. So for about a year, almost 2 years, I spent all of my time speaking to children, going to schools, speaking to many students of all ages from elementary school. I think the youngest I've ever taught was 4 years old, way up to university and older. And recently, I've been preparing for actually today and tomorrow we have a big campaign that's coming up. But I started something called weMORI, and it's an app. We still don't have the app. We're trying to build it now, and it focuses on forests and action. And I hope to share that with the audience today.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. I love in your profile, I think this is on the weMORI website, or yeah, I'm pretty sure the weMORI website, and you say you are an environmental evangelist.
Yeah, whatever that means,
I've
right?
never seen that before, but I totally get it because quite often when you go on at people about environment because you're passionate, people are
Uh-huh.
like, "Yeah, okay, is it like a religion or?"
Uh-huh.
So I was happy to see that because I feel like I'm also an environmental evangelist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
it becomes like a way of life, right?
Absolutely. It's a entire belief system, actually, I would say. Um, it basically has its own myths, right? Just like capitalism does. Just that with environmentalism, it's a lot more about connection and living together. And um, it's the opposite of separateness, which is actually one of the core myths of capitalism. So in that sense, you could say that it is kind of a belief system, similar to a religion. So yeah, I guess evangelist yeah, is a fitting word for anybody who goes around spreading that belief system.
Yeah, very good. I agree. I think if we should use that word more outside of religious connotations. I got your founder
Uh-huh.
page here, and it has your timeline of your profile. So
Uh-huh.
2015, you
Yep.
helped to make the 350.org
Yep.
established in Japan. Where
I'm looking
oh,
at
you
it.
got
So
it
cool.
now. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it's so cool. I love how like the boop, 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 all these things are popping up on the screen. It's
Okay,
awesome.
great.
Yeah,
Okay. And so we'll talk a bit more about the 350.org
absolutely.
activities in Japan. And
Uh-huh.
then 2018, you traveled to Tuvalu and Alaska.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can
Yes,
you
yes.
talk about that a little bit?
Of course, yeah. So I think it was 2017 when I hosted actually this kind of exhibit of all these different photos from Tuvalu. And we had this cameraman who had been going there back and forth for 20 years, who I'm still really good friends with, called Endo-san. And I had a lot of guests come, and one of the guests that came was a really close friend of mine. Well, I guess not friend, but almost like a mentor, somebody who I've looked up to for a very long time. And I was very knowledgeable about the issues that Tuvalu is facing. For those of you who don't know, Tuvalu is a low-lying island nation in the South Pacific. The highest point above sea level is like 3 meters. And right now with climate change, what's happening is the sea level is rising because as water gets hotter, it expands. So the ocean is essentially expanding at the moment. And as it expands, these small islands are being, well, eaten up by the ocean. Um, And so I was telling him about this, and I was telling him that, Tuvalu is this place 6,000 kilometers from Japan where these things are happening. And he said to me, he looked in my eyes and said, um, I don't feel anything from your words. And that was a really shocking moment for me. Essentially, what he was telling me was that I need to see it for myself to be able to speak about it with confidence. And by that point, I had been working in the field of environment for 2, 3 years, giving speeches in front of people, speaking in front of audiences, teaching kids, starting and involving people in campaigns. But I had never really been at the forefront of climate change. And that was an exploration, a journey that I wanted to embark on after having that response from somebody who I really looked up to. So in 2018, I decided, actually by invitation from the photographer that I spoke about earlier, to actually go to Tuvalu. And I spent about a month there in an island called Funafuti. Now, Funafuti is the capital island of Tuvalu. There's 6,000 people living there.
Wow.
In Tuvalu, there's only about 10,000 people. And the island where there's 6,000 people living, which is Funafuti, from end to end on a motorbike is about 15 minutes. So it's a very, very small island. And I was there for a month filming a documentary on how people are living there. And we asked many people, about 15 to 20 people, the same questions. For example, what do you love about Tuvalu? How would you like Tuvalu to be 100 years from now? Is there anything you would like to say to people from developed nations? We asked the same 5 or 6 questions to about 20 people and made a documentary out of it. We also made an art film and also actually spoke to about 100 people and surveyed their family tree, which is a project that Endo-san has been doing now for over a decade. Essentially what he is doing, he's documenting the heritage and the connections of all the people in Tuvalu, and he's covered about 3,000 people, and it's all in a database. Just in case someday the country disappears, at least there's a database showing how people were connected, on which islands they lived, who was related to who, and what they believed in. So that was Tuvalu. Fascinating place. Maybe I'll pause there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so important, and of course connected to climate change. And our activities that we're doing affects climate change, and these people, island nations, are so severely affected. So seeing it for yourself and having that personal connection certainly makes you more enthusiastic to try to help them, right? And try to tell their stories. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
2018, you started the Spiral Club. I thought that was interesting. Can you
Uh-huh.
talk about that just a little bit?
Of course. So that was actually right after that I had left 350.org. And I was really eager to raise more awareness around the issues of climate change, environmentalism, because these topics were still topics that were discussed among people who were in the know or who loved nature. However, in Japan, and maybe this is still the case, topics around climate change, plastic issues, issues of intensive farming, these various environmental topics are not really discussed regularly or normally. If you go to Europe, if you go to US, if you go to Canada, a lot of times, and I'm sure this depends on where you are in each of the places that I mentioned, but these topics around environmental issues come up quite frequently, quite regularly. And the discussion is really, really important in sparking social change, in sparking kind of more innovative approaches towards how we should behave, what kind of policies they should be. It's all part of a dialogue that is, changing the world. And that's why in Europe and in those areas of the world, you see very, very radical measures taken, even in the realm of politics, to mitigate and adapt to climate change. But in Japan, Japan is still a country that's exporting coal power plants. We're still heavily leaning on coal. We are one of the countries in the world that use the most amount of pesticides. In fact, we're the #1 user of pesticides on fruits in all the world. Um, I mean, we are literally eating our local oceans empty of fish. These things are happening, but they're not being discussed. So the idea of Spiral Club was everything starts from a conversation. Any change in this world starts from a single conversation. I mean, like anything, literally, I like anything that has happened in the history of humanity, it must have all, at some point, started from a conversation. A few words exchanged between people who may have said, isn't it wrong that different skin color means that we are subject to this terrible treatment? And then talked about it. And then change slowly must have started. In the same way, I'm sure with the first person who looked at a plastic pet bottle and said, okay, there's something wrong about this plastic pet bottle. What can we do about it? What should we do about it? And then you talk about it, and then slowly things start to change. So the idea of Spiral Club was, let's talk about the environment. So it was myself and a bunch of other young people who were keen and interested in these issues and were really eager to talk about it and spread it out into the world. We were writing articles, hosting events, still are. And it's kind of a community-owned media platform. If you look at the website, you'll see that there's a lot of articles. We also host monthly events. And yeah, so I would describe it as a community-owned media that's with the goal of sparking conversations around not necessarily environmental issues, the environment in general, including how beautiful it is.
Yeah, having discussions is so important. I think even especially with young people and getting young people motivated to be active in doing something like proactive in changing their lifestyle or something. Some of your articles about the top 3 things you can do to improve your impact on the environment. And I like one of the mission statements in the website, and it says, don't forget to be baka. You should be a little crazy, you know. And I thought
Yeah.
that's excellent. Yeah, you have
Thanks.
to be silly, you know.
Oh yeah,
You have to
absolutely.
be young. You have to live your life the way you want to live it.
Oh
You
yeah,
can't be serious
all the time.
24/7. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and that concept is indeed, as you say, like brilliant, and it's so important. I mean, you can't take yourself too seriously all the time, otherwise you'll just snap
Yeah.
or just become too serious or caught within your own paradigm. So I think it's really
And
important to,
yeah, for sure.
experience a little bit of aho obaka. Um, but for me, that really goes deep. And what I mean when I say that we must be baka, or that aho or baka is a very important concept, is that what I'm trying to say is that there's always more things that we don't know than there are things that we do know. I mean, the universe is so big, the planet Earth is so big. I can't even name the name of the flower that's dried on my table. I can't even name the name of the tree behind me. I can't explain the moods that I experience from time to time. There's constantly infinitely more things that human beings cannot explain than there are things that we can explain. However, we live in a society where people are fighting over each other based on who knows more of what. Um, and that is the essence of competition, that I know more than you, that I can do better than you because I know more than you. I know the right way to do it, you don't. Um, if you are approaching life from the angle of who knows more, you're just destined to always end up in competition, which will end up in friction, and you see that everywhere, causing so many different issues today. But if you can accept that there's always more things that you don't know than you know, and because of that, you are objectively speaking stupid. Simply because the amount that you know versus the amount that there is to know is so little that in relative to all the things that there are that you can know, you are stupid. We are all stupid. And if we can accept that fact, we can live outside of dogma. We can live outside of competition. We can live more freely an acceptance of the fact that we don't know. And because I don't know, let's work together. How can we make a better world together? I don't know how to solve climate change alone. But if I can admit that and I can invite you to help me solve climate change, maybe together we can do more. I think that's the essence of any solution that we can and must make from here on to the future, and that accepts us to that, or that requires us to accept that we are each aho.
That's so interesting. That's such a great way to look at it, I think. A way to show your own character, to connect with others. I was listening to a really interesting podcast the other day, and they were saying, you know how when people tell you information, a lot of the time you'll just be like, oh yeah, I know, but don't do that. You should always choose some part of it that they said that you didn't know 100%. And you say, oh, that's interesting. And I heard this or something, instead of just saying, oh, I know, I heard that. And then the conversation ends. Like, how do you be a better listener, right? And how do you encourage people to tell you things? And I thought that was so powerful, because the more you learn, even as a young person, you are so knowledgeable about so many things. You've been to so many places. But when people tell you new things, if you can also be like, oh, that's interesting, or I never thought about it like that, that encourages them to bring more information to you and tell you more things. You know, I mean, me as well. So it's hard, but I'm practicing that. So connecting with others, making it fun, encouraging others to tell you things. It's all good. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So I think it's a good time to start talking about weMORI. Please tell us. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so weMORI is the world's first dedicated forest action app. And we're going to be on Kickstarter starting tomorrow at 12 p.m. Woo, super exciting.
Yay.
Yeah, I think we're gonna share a link at some point in this during this talk. But so what is it? It's an app. It allows you to fund projects that are protecting or restoring forests all around the world. That's actually the essence of it. So you can very easily, with the few taps of your fingers, take action that has high impact. You're also helping communities. Yeah, so it's really simple. That's the core function of it. But we also really value transparency, and I think it's extremely important that when you fund something, when you donate to something, if you are somebody who has donated to a protection of the forests or the restoration of the forests, you would want to know how many trees, for example, were protected through the donations you've given. And that is really, really important in encouraging people to take more action, to commit deeper. So we also want to present all that data within the app to our users. So very easy action. You can track your impact because we want to make that transparent. We also want to make it a little fun. So we're going to have stickers in the app that when you fund a project, you might get a little frog sticker, or you might get a little toucan sticker, all sorts of different exotic species out there in the world. And we think this is a really fun way for people to come in touch with just how fascinating biodiversity is. If you think about it, there's, I don't know if you ever played Pokemon, but when I was a kid, I would play Pokemon on my Game Boy. It was still the days of like the really old Game Boy. Now I don't even know what they use anymore. But we used to get really excited that there was 156 Pokemons out there that you can collect. But in the world, there's millions more. That's the biodiversity that's out there, which we are not in touch with at the moment. And so the collect function is kind of a way for us to make or make recognizing biodiversity more fun. We also want to allow the app to become a platform for people to collaborate. What we mean is, for example, Inbound Ambassador could create a profile within the app, and for every 10 broadcasts you have, you can commit to planting 5 trees, let's say. Then you can keep clocking that inside the app, and you can track the impact of or where Inbound Ambassador has planted its trees. Or you can even have a charity talk where you invite people to donate towards a certain reforestation project for a certain session, and they could do that through your page, for example. So I think it's really important that we're creating a space for communities to do good together. So that's the collaboration aspect of it. There's a bunch of other functions that we want to insert and squeeze into there, but that's the core essence of what the app will be and what it will contain.
So are you finding the reforestation projects and listing them, or are you like a hub between the user and the already certified or already registered reforestation projects? Could you?
Yeah, so there's, of course, at least in the very beginning, we're not going to have our own protect and restore projects because it just takes too much time. It takes too much manpower. Just it's a real bucket load of work. So we are collaborating with organizations all over the world. So you don't have to look at 50 different websites to find out which one you might want to help. We will have our own frameworks, decision-making structures around which projects we would like to support and why. And we bring the projects that we believe are the best right to your hands. That's where we stand. We do have partners already. We have one in Japan called Borneo Conservation Trust. We have one from the UK called World Land Trust. And we're speaking with some other organizations as well at the moment. Yeah.
That's great. On the website, it says there's basically 3 parts. One-tap donations, emergency response, and see your impact are the 3 main core. The one-tap donations, like you explained, is a way to find very good organizations who are doing tree planting projects, and you can fund them. And then maybe part of the groupism can be that one-tap donations or part of the collaborative thing. The emergency response, I think, is really interesting. There are some aid organizations like that. I think UNICEF and some other major ones that'll say, do you want to contribute to a specific project, or do you want to just give to whatever is the most like necessary right now, right? So of course, for forestry, that's also significant, right? There are certain projects which really need to happen fast.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to place a hierarchy on these things at any time. And also what constitutes an emergency is also very, very difficult. However, I think a lot of the times people don't know where to go to support in times that they really feel compelled to. So when Australia is on fire, which organization can I trust, not trust? So hopefully we can be seen as the people that you can trust, so that we present these projects to you. I haven't really given much thought into the idea of having like a emergency fund where we collect money at any time and then help in cases of emergencies. But at the moment, it's very much project-based. Also, emergencies, they just like for me, for example, a real emergency that was happening around this COVID corona situation was that indigenous people deep in the who were living very close to the jungles were for some reason much more susceptible to the COVID-19. The death rate was much higher in indigenous communities. And the reason that these indigenous communities were getting sick in the first place was because loggers, illegal loggers, were using that time during the corona when there's less people monitoring the forests to go in there and deforest certain areas of land while they're spreading the virus into interior communities. So to me, that's an emergency.
Yeah.
And how can we support these situations through our initiatives is a question, because there's a lot of emergencies out there that are happening that are not as epic as the Amazon burning, or the world's lungs are burning. By the way, they're not the world's lungs. Oxygen, not 25% of oxygen every year does not come from the Amazon. That's not to say that the Amazon burning is a problem. Just that's the environment nerd in me trying to just clarify
But
the
but
science.
trees are major. I mean, I found this article which I saw a while ago. Guardian is saying it's mind blowing what tree planting projects will do to help us. I mean,
Yes.
it's one of the things that if you have to choose something, reduce your meat consumption, which is also connected to trees. But planting more trees, reforestation is major. So what you've chosen is a great goal, is a great target to help people connect to reforestation projects, I think.
Thank you so much. The other thing that really made that drew me towards forests was that it's a lot more than just carbon. So right now the world is very much speaking the language of carbon. How much carbon does what's your carbon footprint? How much carbon was used to create this shirt? Um, how much gigatons of carbon are we allowed to still emit? These are all extremely important things. However, you cannot evaluate everything simply based on their value in terms of how much carbon they put out or absorb. Um, and for me, it's another really important thing is biodiversity. It's life, are the millions of different species that exist out there that are not human, which are going through the sixth great extinction in actually planetary history. This loss of biodiversity is not something that's as spoken about as climate change. However, in its impact, and when I mean impact, I mean in terms of the detrimental effect that runaway extinction could have on human societies, it's just as critical that we take action as it is to take action against climate change. But it's largely being ignored. However, forests are where biodiversity exists. 80% of land-based species are said to live inside the forests. So if you can protect and restore forests, you're not just doing something that's good in terms of carbon, you're also allowing space for biodiversity to flourish. As well as, of course, the multitude of other, I don't like to call it this, but merits that forests bring. For example, they filter water. The only reason that your river would have clean filtered water is because there's trees in the mountains that are filtering the water and also latching onto the soil so it's not eroding and polluting the water. So it's so much more than carbon. And that was another reason that I was drawn towards the forests, because going back 20 years ago, the reason that right now, today, I'm an environmental evangelist is because I love nature. I love the environment. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a source of inspiration. I think it's something that's so mysterious that we should strive to learn more about. And its value is far more than just carbon. And that was another really, really, really important aspect for me.
Yeah. And the other day I was talking, yesterday, I was talking to Kathleen about her book, The Last Cherry Blossom. And it's about her mother's story of surviving the atomic blast of Hiroshima. And one of the things that she's done as a descendant in the States, Japanese American descendant, is collaborate with a Hiroshima agency which takes seeds from surviving trees in Hiroshima and sends the seeds around the world. And so she started a project at a school
Whoa.
and you have that, the rebirth through the tree, the amazing message of peace and hope through a tree. So,
Mm-hmm.
trees are very symbolic, and,
Mm-hmm.
not only bringing us life, but they also help us reconnect and de-stress. What is it? The Japanese always talk about forest bathing, right?
森林浴,
Right?
yes. Uh-huh.
And I mean, there are problems with Japanese forests, or some forests
Right.
being
Mm-hmm.
planted too quickly, where you
Yes.
you can't actually walk through them. They are
Uh-huh.
just like agriculture, what tree
Yes, yes,
agriculture.
yes.
There are some problems. We need more planning, but all in all, trees are just amazing. And there's books written about the communication between trees.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes,
And
yes, yes.
this Guardian article is talking about the potential that there used to
Mm-hmm.
be forests all over North America, all over Europe, and we have so few forests now. Like, we have so much
Mm-hmm.
potential to
Mm.
reforest even, urban areas. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. Urban areas is a great place to reforest. You could just start reforesting. There was a really cool initiative called guerrilla farming,
I love that.
that I was or guerrilla gardening that I'm a really big fan of. You just go to the little patches of soil that exist in your neighborhood and you plant like a carrot or whatever, and then you go and harvest it later. You can do the same thing with trees and forests. Um, yeah, and also actually, there's a man by the name of Miyawaki-san, who is one of Japan's leading forest scientists, and he's written many books around forests. And he actually has his own method of forestry called, I think, the Miyawaki method. And it's right now being used all over the world to create these kind of um, oasis of forests within urban areas, and it's very dense forests, uh, a lot of trees in a very small amount of area. That has so many merits. It can block sound, it can cool the temperature, all sorts of different things, and it's also more beautiful than at least the plastic plants that you see in some restaurants. Uh, every time I see that, I just think, well, it's the worst thing that a human has ever done.
Why not
Uh,
just grow a green curtain, right? Like Goya. I'm growing Goya right now. Works
hmm
really well. I mean,
hmm
people complain, well, with trees, then next to the house, you're gonna have problems with roots, right?
hmm
One of the organizations I really like, which I hope you can collaborate with, is Hawaiian Legacy. It's
Okay.
a reforestation project in Hawaii
hmm
using native species, and
Amazing.
they're very cool. When you plant a tree through their organization, you can dedicate it. They give you a GPS number and you
hmm
can track it. You can go and visit it someday, or you can look at it through Google Earth.
hmm
Yeah, so there's some very cool tree planting organizations for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really, really cool. What is it called again? Hawaiian Legacy?
Hawaiian Legacy Reforestation Initiative. I'll
Okay,
put
I'm
I'll put the
definitely
link.
writing that
I'll
down.
send you the link. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Guardian article had a few good ones as well.
Okay.
Um, there's some great ones all
hmm
over the world. I'm sure you know a lot more than me.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there are a lot of very there's so many different reforestation initiatives out there, and that's kind of another reason why I think weMORI can be very powerful is because there's it's maybe come to a point where there's too many, um,
Or you
and
don't know which one to trust because they're not all going to be reputable, right? Like,
mhm,
is there, I mean, I'm sure there's a certification scheme for some, so a
mhm,
third party is checking where the money actually goes. I mean,
mhm,
part of your mission is transparency, right?
mhm, mhm. Absolutely, yes. So it's really important that our users know how the money is being used. And so when we think about our partners, we're thinking about who are the people that have been doing this for a very long time is quite important for us, that they have a long history and therefore they have a long knowledge and or a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience is a very key component when it comes to this. I do not have the statistics, but I can easily imagine that a lot of new forestation projects are coming live with the recent rush of interest in taking climate action. So it's somewhere, yeah, we really have to be careful and make sure that we're supporting the right projects.
For sure. And your Kickstarter, let's talk about Kickstarter. Is very
Hmm.
exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited. Whew, if you've ever done a Kickstarter, my hat's off to you. If you never have, never do it. I'm kidding. It's
It's
a
too
great
hard.
experience.
Oh. You've been doing it for about a year, getting ready for the Kickstarter. Is that
Well,
right?
no, the Kickstarter process kind of kicked in, I would say, maybe like around March-ish, when we started to seriously consider Kickstarter as an option. Um, and the real kind of the intense preparation started, I would say, a month or 2 months ago. Yeah, I think we were really working on finalizing the concept around what we wanted to provide in May, and then June, July has been a lot of, yeah, just a lot of work.
And
Um,
and your Kickstarter as well is planting trees, right? The
yeah,
Do you want to
absolutely.
explain that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So we want our not Instagram, our Kickstarter itself to be regenerative, so that you're not just helping us, but you're also reforesting certain areas around the world. We're reforesting an area in Borneo, and we're also reforesting an area in Kenya. They're both fantastic projects. In Borneo, the reforestation is actually reversing what was once converted into a palm oil field, and the reforestation project is bringing that back into a forest. So it's a very long project, actually. It's going to take a very long time for fruition. The reason is because you have to plant many different species of trees around what's currently a palm oil field and slowly reverse the ecosystem from a plantation to an actual forest, which takes a long
Wow.
time.
Mm.
Um, but it's a really symbolic project that I really, really wanted to support through this Kickstarter campaign. And the reason for that is because palm oil is the leading cause of deforestation in Borneo and in a lot of other areas of Southeast Asia. And we have every bit of responsibility over that because what is palm oil used for? Our shampoo, our bread, our chips. If you like that, I'm sure a lot of food that you eat outdoors or not outdoors, when you eat out, a lot of palm oil definitely used in the food.
Snacks. It's in loads of snacks.
Snacks. It's
Yeah.
in loads of snacks. It's also in a lot of dishwashing, like soap material. It's everywhere. It's really, really everywhere. And that demand for those things is the pull factor for deforestation to happen or for the people in those areas to deforest. They do it because there's a demand. So we have every bit of responsibility over that situation. However, it's not ideal. In my perspective, neither for the local community and definitely not for us if we think about climate change and the decline of biodiversity. So reversing that is one of the things that weMORI aspires to do. Uh, so we wanted to embody that through this campaign so that every time you purchase a reward, we're going to plant a tree in at least one tree in Borneo or Kenya to bring back the forests.
That's wonderful. I just realized we didn't
Mm.
explain the name weMORI.
Ah,
Can you explain it?
absolutely. So mori means forest in Japanese. Um, and actually, it's very much related to the logo. So the logo is three circles with a stick, like coming out of it, like if you've seen the logo for weMORI anywhere. And
It's on the screen now.
okay. Oh yeah, I see. And the Japanese or the Chinese character for forest is three trees. One, two, three. And that reads forest. And I love that three trees read a forest. And since the weMORI idea was conceived in Japan, I wanted to be true to its roots. So named it weMORI, and also the logo reflects that it's a forest. And it's really important that the word forest is in our name as well for me, because today people focus on trees. How many trees should we plant? Um, yeah, like for example, a lot of campaigns exist around the idea that we need to plant 1 trillion trees by a certain amount of time to reduce carbon by this much. But that could easily lead us into the same situation as intensive agriculture, where we're planting cabbage over kilometers and nothing else. That kind of forestation could possibly do more harm than good. I think if such a project exists, that is a case where the language of carbon has dominated in a negative way. Um, so it's important that you're paying attention to the forests, that you're not just looking at the tree, but you're looking at the forest. And there's a Japanese proverb for this that goes, "Ki o mite mori o minu," which is a kind of a, I guess it's referring to when somebody is being foolish or is acting like a fool, saying that you're seeing what's right in front of you, but you're not at all grasping anything else or any of the context. So yeah, it's very important that Mori is in our name, that it has to do with our logo, and yeah.
Yeah, we have that, right? Same expression in English. You
Hmm.
can't see the forest for the trees. You
Yes,
can't
yes,
see the bigger picture. I didn't realize Japanese had the same expression. That's so cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is perfect for anything with climate change. You have to look at the big picture, but you also have to look at details. It's like it's
It's
both.
so
Yeah.
difficult. It's so much, yeah, so much.
For your Kickstarter campaign,
Uh,
if people donate, not only are they planting trees, which is
uh,
amazing, but you also have some very interesting rewards. You want to talk a
uh,
little bit about the rewards?
yes. So we thought very hard about our rewards, and we also wanted to, through our rewards, convey the message of regeneration. Um, so we actually, oh God, we went through so many. It was a really long process, but what we arrived at is using this regenerative paper to create art posters. Another core value of weMORI is collaboration, and so we wanted to collaborate with artists from around the world, since the forest issue and climate change, all the issues that we're trying to take action against are global issues. So we wanted to invite artists from around the world to join us in this regenerative campaign. And so what we're doing is, I have a guest. What we're doing is we're creating posters that are printed on regenerative paper in collaboration with artists from around the world. So what makes the paper regenerative? This is, uh, unfortunately, this will be limited to the audiences in Japan, but we're planting seeds inside the paper.
Cool.
Um, and the paper that we're using is a Japanese paper. It's called washi. And washi is a very special paper that's layered over and over and over again. And somewhere during that layering process, you can plant
Seeds.
seeds.
Yeah.
Hmm. So it's an art poster, so we would love it if you put it on your wall, but also you can plant it in soil if you get bored of it, or if you want to enjoy the process of watching uh, plants grow out of your poster. You could just put it in water or put it over soil, water, and then see the seeds grow out of the paper. Um, the problem was that you were not allowed to ship seeds outside
Oh, yeah.
of the borders. So we're not able to do this for global audiences. But even then, still, washi, Japanese paper, is regenerative paper. The reason is because it's made out of all sorts of different fibers that are coming together to create one piece of paper. And if you put it back in water, those fibers untangle. And when you dry it again, it binds back into paper. So Japanese paper washi is this unbelievable, very complete piece of technology that's existed for, they say, 1,500 years, that can be recycled infinitely. So it's very sustainable in that sense. Also, the paper that we're using uses 100% locally harvested wood in Japan. So carbon footprint is very low. Forest footprint is very sustainable. So yeah, we really poured our hearts into the returns, because oftentimes you see Kickstarter campaigns and the campaign might be great, but the rewards are just like, nah. So we wanted to, yeah, we
Yeah,
really wanted to.
high quality that people will appreciate. Plus,
Mm.
it should be connected to your concept, right? It sounds like you've hit it on the nose. Um, I interviewed Divya Marie
Mhm.
Kato, and
Mhm.
she's an artist in Tokyo, and she uses washi a
Ah,
lot
okay.
in her beautiful dragon paintings and lots of
Mm-hmm.
different paintings. Washi is such a amazing part of Japanese culture. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. Yeah.
On your website, so anything else you want to talk about for the Kickstarter? It starts
Yeah,
tomorrow.
it starts tomorrow at noon. Please check it out. You'll find a lot more about our app. You'll find some visuals, some photos. You'll see a lot more descriptions in depth. We didn't want to fill the campaign page with too much information, so we'll be sending constant updates through our Kickstarter campaign. I also just want to give a shout out to the team that's helped this time. I mean, one of the just most humbling and amazing experiences of weMORI has been the team that has come together through this initiative. We have volunteers from 10 different countries, actually more, from all over the world, just doing amazing, amazing work. And I wouldn't be here, the project wouldn't be where it is right now without the support of our volunteers. So, this project, this Kickstarter is a truly collaborative effort between all of us. And yeah, so just want to give my respect and thanks to the volunteers. Um, Otherwise, there's a Borneo trip as one of the rewards if you'd like to come to Borneo with us, since we're
Wow.
planting trees there. And one of the artists who have created the artworks for the washi posters are from Borneo. And they're actually a collective from Borneo. So we want to go meet them as well. The trip will be fully carbon offsetted. Um, yeah, there's a lot more that I can say, a lot more that I would love to say, but I'm going to leave it here and say, please check out our campaign. We've really poured our hearts into it. And if you have any questions, please,
We have
yeah,
a bit
shoot.
more time, so we will come
Uh-huh.
back to it at
Oh,
the
yeah,
end.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
don't worry. We've got a bit more time for another plug at the end.
Okay.
Uh, My Planet, My Life, Joanna
Uh-huh.
says,
Yeah, yeah,
awesome conversation. Thank you so much. What
yeah.
what has been the biggest challenge for you on this journey so far, and what's your vision for the future?
Okay. I mean, the biggest challenge, it just seems like every time you've cleared the last biggest challenge, the next biggest challenge just appears. Um, oof. The biggest challenge, well, one of the hardest moments in this project has definitely been the situation that came out of the pandemic. You know, we really had to slow our project down. A lot of the things that we had expected to happen no longer were able to happen because of the corona, particularly around fundraising. We were doing a lot of fundraising, of course, before the Kickstarter as well, but it was just, it was like somebody just took a needle and popped the balloon, and it was just gone.
Yeah.
We went through some serious difficulties there around really, 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 really thinking about within this extremely difficult situation that the world is in right now, and with the extremely difficult situation that's putting myself, Alex, who's the co-founder, um, in right now, like, do we still want to continue this? Are we going to really do this crazy idea of creating the first protect and restore app for global audiences?
Did you ever think about giving up? Is it just too much sometimes?
No, personally, I've never even once thought about it because I really think, if anything, I think it's a worthy, it's a worthy challenge. You can never know that, oh yes, this will succeed. Oh, this will fail. Nobody actually has the answer. So it's all just about, trying and seeing if it does or doesn't work. And I felt that I was not ready to let go, or I felt that the hypothesis, I guess, was still untested. And I still think that it's a very worthy challenge to continue on. So absolutely not, actually. It never once crossed my mind to give up. It was more kind of the thinking had to happen around, okay, what do I need to do in order to continue this? Um, and
And from
really,
tomorrow, you only have 1 month for the Kickstarter, right?
yeah.
What will you do if for some reason you can't reach the Kickstarter goal? Is it all or nothing?
Yeah, it's all or nothing. So I guess please help us.
But there are some Kickstarters that you just don't reach the goal, right? So
Oh yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
there
yeah.
a plan B somewhere, or I hope you
Well,
don't
yeah,
need
of
it, but
course. Well, for anybody out there that wants to start a nonprofit, or I think you could say the same for a for-profit endeavor as well, but it's really, really important that you're diversifying your stream of income. And we're doing our best to do that ourselves. Kickstarter is really, really important to us. In fact, I would say the most important stream for us because it puts us in direct touch with the people who we want to use our app, people who we want to continue this journey from here and onwards. Kickstarter is a platform where we can connect with those people. So this is the most important stream of fundraising for us right now. However, that's not to say that all other streams are not working or are not going to work or are simply non-existent. So in the event that the Kickstarter does fail, I wouldn't say that that's the end of weMORI at all. We will continue. We've just gone through a global pandemic. We could pretty much get through anything. And I am fully aware that the pandemic is not over, and it's not over at all. So yeah, but I'm quite confident that we can reach the goals. Again, thanks to the team. If it was just me, there's just no way.
what is the goal that you've set for the
Uh-huh.
Kickstarter? Is
Right.
it a
So the
thousand people? Is it?
Yeah, we want to try and get 1,000 people to support our campaign because that would probably mean that we'll plant about something between 1,500 to 2,000 trees. So I've been kind of counting the success of this campaign more based on the number of trees we can plant, and then matching that with the amount of money that we could also get through the campaign. And so the goal is to plant 2,000 trees. That's the goal. And through that campaign, we're hoping to reach 4 million yen. That's less than $40,000. So that's the goal that we really want to reach. But the all or nothing goal is a lot smaller, around 1 million yen.
Okay. So if the all or nothing goal is 1 million yen and you get 1,000 people to donate, how much is that per person? Anybody got a calculator?
1,000, 100 yen,
100 yen.
right? 1,000, 10,000,
Ah,
100,000. No, 1,000 yen.
1,000 yen. Yeah.
Yes.
So if 1,000 people gave 1,000 yen, you'd have 1 million yen.
1,000.
I think
Thousand.
I think that works, didn't
Yes,
it?
yeah, I think that's
Somebody
right. Yeah,
check our math.
yeah, yes, I think
Yeah. So
so.
it's not that daunting, hopefully,
That's
you
such a
know,
good point. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you can do it.
yeah.
You
So
can do
the
it.
lowest tier is 1,000 yen, and it's just to plant a tree. So that is the lowest tier. So you could just simply come to our campaign and just, if you want to plant a tree with us, please do.
That's awesome. Do you think you got a lot of your know-how from working with 350? Do you want to talk about your work with them a little bit?
Absolutely. So 350 is a global climate movement organization. We mobilize people all over the world to create mass movements of people to take action, political action against climate change. So some of you might have seen the climate strikes on TV with Greta at the forefront and really marching on the streets and making huge political shockwaves everywhere. 350 is very much involved in the back scenes of that, creating the websites, training the leaders. We're basically a movement building, a group of movement building professionals, just the most brilliant people you would ever meet, who are the most politically sharp, tactical, strategic, but also very warm. And it's a group of wonderful people who have had incredible success creating the best movement-based campaigns in the world. I've learned so much from them, but I mean, compared to the people in 350, I'm a young Padawan,
Well, they've
as
been
Yodo.
doing it. They've been doing it for a long time. I
Hmm.
I found one photo on the 350, or you had a event that you guys did together, and
Hmm.
I found you in the video, so I have to put that up. Where is it? I hope I can find it. Okay,
I
so
think I know exactly which one it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
you were talking about coal. There was a quiz. There was something.
Uh-huh.
Oh, where is it? Anyway, they're a great organization. They're doing a lot of good. They also did a training program with Al Gore's campaign. Wasn't that with 350 as well? To
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they were part of it. I don't follow every one of their activities recently, so I'm not fully sure if how involved they were with what was the name of that? Al Gore's, what was it called? Yeah, but I know the one that you're speaking of. Yeah, but they're still extremely active and also training a lot of people, particularly the youth, to take action. And so 350 is amazing. I learned so much from them. Anybody who wants to really dedicate their time towards movement-related activism, I would say 350 is a great place for you to go.
I found the picture. It's on the
Ah,
screen. So you look so young.
yeah, I know. Oh my
Oh, that wasn't
God.
that long ago.
This was 2018.
It
Yeah.
was great. But what a great organization to work with and learn from, and then launch your own amazing idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, really. As an organization, it's brilliant. As the individuals in there were brilliant. Honestly, I can't speak of anything really in detail since 2018 because that's up to, where I really know the people who are in there. I'm sure there's been a lot of changes. But just you meet the most inspiring people who are really dedicated. And Bill McKibben, who's the co-founder of 350, also a fantastic, always so supportive of the different initiatives around the world, taking action. Uh, yeah, so yeah, they're great, and I did learn a lot from them.
Yeah, I know they're very big on transparency. They're very big on collaboration, on being bold and creative, on justice, on diversity. So
Hmm.
many of the things that you're using in your app development and your mission is very in line with 350. So it's so nice to see that you had that background because
Hmm.
it has informed you in how to move forward.
Hmm.
I just wanted to point out that if people go to the weMORI website, they can see your blog, and you write some nice articles, and
Oh,
you
thank you.
share your ideas. So it's not just about the app, but you are also talking about your passion for the
Mhm.
environment. So
Yes. Yeah, these writings were more intended for kind of my own practice, more than anything, but I really enjoyed them. If I had more time in my life right now, I would definitely be writing more.
yeah.
Um, Absolutely. I miss writing. So yeah, you can go in there and check some of the pieces that I've wrote, but more than my writing, the thing to be excited about is weMORI's writing team. We have a writing team that's made up of some brilliant writers who are volunteering their time. creating articles that we will put up on our website.
Great.
And I think those will be really, really awesome. And that will be shared throughout our crowdfunding campaign as well. So
good. Yeah.
yeah.
I think the idea of getting out content for free,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a way to build your brand. And then people are more loyal to helping you with crowdfunding or, supporting the app. It's a great way to, I mean, you guys are a young organization, but building a brand is so important, and providing free content is one great way to do that. So good job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of that comes from my background at Spiral Club. It's that the really important thing is to evoke conversation. And speaking of conversations, we have a lot of events coming up through the crowdfunding campaign as well. Actually, Joanna, who was here with you, I think a few weeks ago, has been really, 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 really working hard to create some amazing events in English, where we'll be having all sorts of different conversations that are sometimes about weMORI, sometimes not. We have an event coming up over the weekend about indigenous people in land rights. We have a meditation event coming up towards the end of July.
These will be online. Yeah.
Yes, you should be able to find these from our Facebook as soon as we have created the assets, which will hopefully be tomorrow or the day after.
Yeah, well, great. Very exciting. So that is our hour. Do you want one more plug for people to go to the Kickstarter tomorrow?
Well, I think I've said my part. So I want to just say, yeah, thank you so much for having me and for creating the space for these conversations to happen. I think it's so important, and we can never have enough of these. So thank you so much. For those of you who enjoyed this, please do check out our Kickstarter. We've really poured our hearts and soul into it. So yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to weMORI. And yeah, thank you very much. I really very much enjoyed this.
Great. Thank you so much. So if you're interested in the weMORI project, I will put the links below to all the social media and their website, and definitely reach out, find out more about this great application and Kickstarter. And best of luck to you guys, Ian. It's great stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Join us again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bye.